Welcome in, Warchant.com. I'm Jeff Cameron. Great to be with you. First time really over here at the stadium with lead writer Corey Clark, of course. It's a new day and a new beginning, obviously, as Florida State gets the season started today with the coaches' luncheon. We just exited the Moore Athletic Center and had a talk with Mike Norvell and the other coaches. Corey, first thing that stood out to you at welcome back to football, I guess, right?
Well, that you were there. I don't need that. I got my mic right here, buddy.
It's my first one. It's my first one, obviously.
You were there with us, sporting the Warchant gear. Just felt great. That was what stood out initially. But then when you talk to Norvell or hearing him talk, and I don't know what you think. I know coaches always talk about how excited they are. You know what I mean? That there's confidence, and this year is going to be different. You get the sense that it really will be. Like, he did talk about the confidence. I did ask him about it's the first time in his coaching career he's kept all of his assistants from one year to the next. To me, that's what stood out the most, is he kept coming back to confident. It's a more confident football team. And when you think about it, how could it have been confident last year? They didn't have anything to go on, and they hadn't put in the work they put in this offseason.
Yeah, and I don't know how he couldn't be excited about the start of a new season with a real offseason, right? A real spring, a real offseason with strength and conditioning. If you guys haven't watched the feature yet that Aslan did on Warchant.com, make sure you do that. And by the way, while you're watching this video, give it a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. But yeah, obviously, I think Coach Norvell is in a good mindset because he's had time with the team. He's gotten to know his players. He's been able to establish what he wants to do and what the work ethic has to be for this thing to get turned around. And yeah, when he talks about that, you can sense that energy and that enthusiasm. Really, all of his coaches, I think, feel that way. We got a chance to talk to a number of them. I talked to Adam Fuller quite a bit today, too, and he's very excited because obviously that defense a year ago, Corey, was a sieve.
Yes,
but also they were in an impossible situation.
Yeah.
You come in as a new staff, you don't get to work with your personnel but for 3 days.
Yeah.
You got to expect a lot better things this year out of this defense. Let's start there. I think that's the key to the season.
Well, yeah, and when you think about the defense, they're going to have, at least half of the starting 11 will be guys that weren't here last year, probably. So that's interesting in and of itself. But I do think the fact that Florida State, they have some talent. It's not overwhelming talent. It's not the talent we grew up with necessarily, Jeff.
No.
But there's some there. They certainly have more talent to be better than 108th in the country. So getting there, going from 108th to 60th, 55th, that's a nice step, right?
Yeah, baby steps, right? But again, guys knowing what they're supposed to do, guys having a sense of what the plan is defensively in terms of game plan, schematically, all of that stuff. I asked Coach Fuller about confidence. I think a big part of this is you saw guys last year kind of second-guessing themselves, thinking their way through plays as opposed to reacting and not triggering downhill. And I talked about, has that been the biggest part of this offseason? Because you had the time with him, and now you got guys stepping on the practice field kind of having a sense of what they're supposed to do. And he was very excited to see, do we have consistency? He said last year you'd see a play where guys did everything right, and you get excited, the next play would all break down again. They just never could find any consistency, and that's what he's hoping to see when they start practice tomorrow.
Well, and then moving to the other side of the ball, the issue that it's been an issue at Florida State for years now, the offensive line. I talked to Alex Atkins for about 10 minutes. He said, I asked him about being, it's the first time they've had the same coach. These guys have had the same coach for the first time since, I don't know, Trickett,
it's
right?
It's bizarre to think about.
It's crazy, but so none of these guys have had the same coach 2 years in a row. And when that was brought up to him, he was like, well, look, man, yeah, that's something, but it's their room. And that's what I stress to them. It shouldn't matter who your coach is, which is obviously it does, but it's your room. You take control of the room. And I think the difference between the room this year and last year is you do have more veteran leadership. And the way Norvell talked about Big Baby, Baby on Johnson. That's a guy that's been here 6 years now. That's almost like having another coach in there. And he says Atkins says he uses Baby on as an example now. And so you got Baby Johnson, you got Dylan Gibbons, you got Devontae Love-Taylor, Brady Scott. You've got dudes that combined, that's 20 years of experience of college football. You can't put a price tag on that, man. And so Atkins was saying that I think the leadership in that room, you still got some young guys, you still got a lot of unproven guys, but you do have some leadership in there now too.
Well, I'll just say this, for you guys that are subscribed to Warchant.com, and you're going to be listening to the show on Monday, the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 p.m. on 93.3 FM, Real Talk Radio, you're going to hear a lot about this, about what we saw at practice relative to what we're allowed to talk about. But he has, again, started this season with an open door policy. We're all going to be at practice every day. So that means more information for you guys that subscribe to Warchant.com. That's exciting. It allows us to give context to what's happening on a day-to-day basis and how these battles are playing out and what we can expect in the season. You've written about this, Corey. I do think it's important to point out to people, tip of the cap to Coach Norvell for that policy, by the way. There are so few coaching staffs that allow everybody to come out and watch every practice, so long as we don't violate certain rules, and they're all common sense rules.
Right. Well, yeah. We won't talk about injuries. We won't tweet or talk about injuries as we see them live. We can ask them about them afterwards, and then trick plays. You know, how awesome would it have been in '88 if somebody had tweeted out, "Man, Florida State's got this cool trick punt, this fake punt play where
Wait till you see this thing."
Yeah, they put it on Leroy Butler's legs, like, so we can't do anything like that. But what I like about it is he values our job in relation to you. Like, we're trying to give you guys information. We're trying to be to have factual opinions,
and
be informed. I know factual opinions is an oxymoron, but to be informed with our opinions, and he wants us to be that way. And he even said he repeated over and over again. He's like, look, college football is closing up. Nobody wants to give. I want to give you guys access to everything. That does not mean you have to say everything positive about me.
Yep.
He made that point over and over again. Like, look, you can say mean things about me if we deserve it.
Me when he said that.
Well, yeah, because he knows what's up.
Yeah.
But so that was reassuring too. Is like, okay, I'm going to give you all this access, and I don't expect you to just throw flowers at me all the time.
Right.
You call it like you see it. Just don't give away advantages to our opponents, and we won't. We're smart enough to do that. We've got 1,000 years experience on this staff, so we certainly won't. But man, I'm really excited about you just get to be more informed. You get to have an idea who's winning the job. You get to have an idea who's working their way up the depth chart. All that stuff is really valuable for you guys, which is and it helps us do our job too.
So today it began, and tomorrow we'll be here at practice covering for it for you guys, Warchant.com. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you do that. Like and subscribe. You can see the little button right there. Follow up. It's good to be with you. Sorry about the ball duo here. There'll be a lot of glares throughout the year, but it's fun to be with you.
But look how good this looks,
really
guys.
excited.
Look how good this looks.
Yeah.
Well, don't do that.
Okay. Warchant.com. Like and subscribe. Warchant TV, obviously. And tune into the Jeff Cameron Show. On Monday, we get underway 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on 93.3. For Aslan and Corey, I'm Jeff. Thanks again.